Hey, this is Doug Field, CEO of the Institute of Healthcare Consumerism, along with co-host Brent Macy, Managing Director, and welcome back to this segment, Healthcare Consumerism Radio. And again, we want to thank Bob at Prudential for the segment on voluntary benefits, which leads in very well to this next segment where we're talking about the importance of education and communication and decision support around voluntary benefits and where technology plays a key role. And joining us to lead that discussion is Steve Adams, CEO of Navera. Steve, good morning.
Good morning to you guys.
Hey, appreciate you taking time out of your day and joining us. Give our audience a little background on Navera, please.
Yeah, so Navera is a software company, and we provide education and decision support software that's designed to enable employees and consumers alike to select the best health care and the best voluntary benefits that'll meet their needs, and to do that through a self-service format online.
Yeah, you talk a little bit about this changing workforce out there, and we were just talking about that on the last segment, and particularly, the technology-oriented workers that are out in the workforce. So talk about the 24/7, capabilities that solutions like yours can provide.
Right. So one of the things I think that we need to be clear about in the benefit space is we've talked a lot about self-service over the last few years, but to be honest, we maybe have disappointed our consumers a little bit because we simply often moved paper-based forms to a digital format and made it online and said, okay, there's your digital forms. They're online 24/7. That's self-service. That's really not self-service from a retail perspective. So when I think we think about the diversity of the new user set, we have to start treating them as consumers, not employees necessarily. And by that I mean they come to the web with a set of expectations that have been shaped by their retail experiences, and there's no reason why we can't deliver the same type of first-class customer experience that they're used to when they're buying all other kinds of retail products. And that begins with access and convenience. So that's not only 24/7, but making sure that the content is easily consumable, that they can navigate through it fairly quickly.
Steve, this is Brent. A lot of things, there's a term out there we've been hearing a lot. It's called the consumerization of healthcare. And, I hear a lot of that, of what you're talking about here. And when you look at the voluntary benefit space, in your opinion, what is the benefit of offering voluntary benefits to the workforce?
I think the fundamental benefit of the voluntary benefits is to provide gaps in coverage for the products that they've had for a long time. And in fact, one of the things that we think is critical moving forward in the world of this consumerization is that people start to look at their benefits as a portfolio of benefits. Mm-hmm. And so the beauty of voluntary benefits is to understand how they would work alongside your traditional medical benefit to provide the most complete and the most cost-effective coverage. And I think that's what voluntary benefits do. They help fill those gaps.
And it's one of those, we talk about it all the time. If you look at voluntary benefits, it was probably one of the most, or probably the first consumer-oriented product, because in most cases, you as the employee actually had to go outside of your major medical plan and choose that, go shop for that piece, outside of the major medical plan. And so your solutions there are helping in that process. Is that correct?
That is correct. So if you look at the history of medical, the employer made the fundamental decisions about what plan or plans sometimes were available to you. You had a limited set of choices, and you got a little bit of education. People understood medical reasonably well. But when it came to voluntary benefits, the employee, not the employer, as you said, has to make the decision. But now they don't have the information, the context in order to make the best informed decision. So voluntary benefits really drove this need for a higher degree of education around the product. And now with things like moves from defined benefits to defined contribution models to private exchanges to high deductible health plans, those voluntary benefits have become even more critical in filling those gaps, and the need for educating how they work together with medical has become much more critical.
Steve, what tools do you provide the employers to help them in this education and decision support process with their employees and their families?
So we do animated software that's interactive. So one is we insist that, for that real sort of consumer-oriented experience, it has to be interactive. And we've developed these education modules that are animated. We know that with the animation, it gives us the ability to capitalize on certain perception activities of the brain, and so exaggerated items and pairing words and images together, and then taking and often putting a whimsical tone on some very difficult subjects. Let's face it, a lot of these benefits are dealing with dismemberment, disability, death. I mean, these are very unpleasant subjects, cause a lot of anxiety. So that whimsy that we bring to the education of removes some of that anxiety and allows them to learn about it. And then the decision support is really making sure that we understand the profile of the user and map that profile to the plans that are available to them. And then I'd say the last thing is, and we're insistent that best practice is that education and decision support should be intimately wed together. In other words, I should be making the decision at which my point of comprehension about a voluntary benefit is highest, and that's after I've just been educated on it.
All right. Are you offering this direct to employers? You offering it through brokers, carriers, a combination thereof? How are you going to market with this?
Well, our industry has its complexity in terms of go to market. So we do not. The one thing we don't do is we do not market directly to employer groups. We go through channel partners, and our channel partners include carriers, but they also include brokers. They include third-party administrators, enrollment firms who've traditionally done this manually, benefit enrollment technology companies, Ben admin systems, private exchanges. So we use all of those channels and we serve as the front end to the enrollment and benefits administration process in almost every instance.
So I would assume, too, that you're following, tracking, talking to the emerging private exchange players.
Yes, absolutely, because we do believe, like most, I think everybody believes there will be a movement there. We don't know the exact timing of it. There's a 3 to 5 year window here that there's a lot of debate about when it will sort of achieve its critical mass, but we, like many people, believe that, in fact, it will. And in that exchange model, it's really going to be critical because your HR person is not there, your enrollment specialist may not be there, your call center support may or may not be there, may be limited. So you might, as a consumer purchasing in that exchange, be a little bit on your own to make the decisions. And so we think this education and decision support software is absolutely critical in that exchange environment.
Stephen, the last minute of the program, kind of leave our audience with one really good takeaway about what they should be looking at with your solution, and then let them know how they can find you.
Yeah, so I think the most critical thing is to understand that in order to, the world that we're moving toward and moving rapidly is the employee becoming the decision maker, and they need to have access to a world-class, customer-focused, self-service benefits enrollment experience, and that's what they need to insist on regardless of what channel the employer or the employee is accessing. A world-class, customer-focused, self-service benefits enrollment experience. And so we'd like to help anyone provide that, and we can be reached at Navera, Navera.com.
Steve, we thank you so much for joining us on the program. And, if you'd like to join us at IHC Forum West, it's November 10th through 12th out in Las Vegas. And hope you have a great weekend. To the rest of our audience, we're going to be moving on to the next segment of Healthcare Consumerism. But, Steve, thank you again for your time, and have a great weekend.
Thanks, guys. You enjoy the weekend as well.
All right. Everybody stay tuned for the next segment of Healthcare Consumerism Radio.